Hi friends, today we're going to do another reading vlog. I was lucky enough to find a copy of Fourth Wing at a little bookshop in Park City a few weeks ago, and I haven't had the courage to start it. If you watch my other videos, you know that Mistborn was the first fantasy book I've ever read. That wasn't like Harry Potter or Percy Jackson where it's set in like the real world with added things. But this is the most viral book ever right now, and I really want to read it. I'm just very nervous because it takes me a lot to like process fantasy books, and this is massive. So we're gonna start this week. It just seems so complex already, but you know what that means. Got the whiteboard ready to go. Got the markers, and we're gonna see if I can comprehend this book. Okay, I got a little carried away with reading this morning. It's been 2 days since I started the book. I read, I think, about 150 pages this morning, so I'm on page 209, so chapter 18. It's very, very good. It's very easy to follow so far. I mean, I am keeping track of everything, so that does help. Hold on, my sister's calling me. Hello. Ooh. Yay! Are you doing that often now? Because you should have some sort of self-defense thing. Bye. Okay, it's flowing really well. I was worried originally because there were a lot of characters being introduced, and the like exposition was kind of funny to me. This is a couple pages in, so this might be a spoiler if you care about the first 2 chapters. When she's going across the parapet. Is that what it's called? Turret? Parapet. Alright, whatever, I can't find it. When she's on the parapet and she's nervous, because she was trained to be a scribe, she starts reciting history facts to calm her down. And it's fairly obvious what they're doing, but it is funny. And it does give you like the information that you need to know pretty early on. I love the main character, so that's good. One issue I had with Mistborn was that the story was amazing, but I didn't like being in Vin's mind. I think it's just a woman written by a man type of situation, where this is written by a woman. It's also so much more casual, I guess, than I assume fantasy books are. Like, the F word's on the first page. There's like joking in it. Like, I find myself laughing at it. I feel like I expected it to be all very, very serious. And it is serious. It's gorier than I thought as well. But it's very, very good. I love Violet. You know what? I'm not going to say who I love because my opinions are changing left and right now. But the dragons are fantastic. I just got past the threshing. Yes. I got past the threshing. Great story. This is just, it's a great story so far. And the dragon's name is Tairn, and then there's a bunch of other letters, but we're going with Tairn. And I'm in love with him. He's so funny. I was like not expecting like the wittiness and the sarcasm. And like his relationship with Violet is already like one of my favorite things in this whole book. So I'm about this way through. This time I'm annotating with these tabs and just white Post-it notes and black pen. So far so good. I like this more than Mistborn so far. Mistborn is a 5-star, but just in terms of like the vibe of like a book that I would like, that I would prefer, that I would pick up, Fourth Wing is definitely more my speed at the moment.
I love you.
Careful, I'm taking a time lapse. No, I'm not. I'm taking a video. Okay. Okay, I'm nearing the end of this thing, and I'm about to start chapter 36, and I feel like I saw a TikTok that said that this is a crazy chapter. I might be misremembering, but I'm actually so stressed right now. I feel like I'm in fight or flight. When it gets to this kind of thing, it's like hard for me to not skim, just to be like, what the happens? I'm so nervous. Yeah, 36 is bad. Holy crap. I just finished the book. And part of me is mad at myself because I feel I should have waited till the second book was out because I need to know more. There's very few times in my life where I just devour a book because it's so good, let alone fantasy. Part of the reason I don't tend to read fantasy is because it takes me forever. I ate this up. It's not written in a way that is like difficult to understand. Like I stopped using the whiteboard about halfway through because I was like, you know what? She's just explaining this so well and it's not complicated to me. Like I was remembering things from before without having to like sort through 50,000 names or things. Okay, I'm gonna do a full review later, but finished. It's a few days later. I was hoping I would fully process this book before I gave my final review, but unfortunately, I don't know if I will ever stop processing this. So we're going to talk about it. I'll start with a spoiler-free review, and then I'll give my spoiler thoughts, and I'll tell you when I switch into that. But 4 stars, 6 stars if possible. This is a fantastic book, especially for somebody like me who's a novice at fantasy. Like when I read Mistborn, it was so difficult for me. Like I had the whiteboard out, I had to listen to it on audiobook for a while because I just couldn't like get through it at a reasonable pace. This flows just like a modern romance story. The language is so casual. It's not uppity or like requires you to use fancy words, if that makes sense. They speak like normal human beings, and it makes it so much easier to get through. It's also great because it goes straight into the story, which is something that I love about like Percy Jackson, Harry Potter, except for in this one, the person's not new to the world. Like Violet's lived in this place. She's lived here her whole life. She knows more about this than most people, but you still get thrown in right away, like it's immediately, what's the day called? The day where they choose their conscription day. Like it starts with conscription day is always the deadliest. Perfect. We're right in. It's not leading up to the main thing. It's basically starting with the most important day of her entire life up to this point. You're right in there. And I love it. Like within the first chapter, I basically knew everything that I needed to know without feeling overwhelmed. Like I basically understood most of it, and anything else that was added wasn't so much that I got lost. Fantastic romance plotline. I had heard a little bit about this, but I went in having basically no expectations. I haven't read ACOTAR, I haven't read Six of Crows or any other like well-known fantasies with romance in them. So I had low expectations, and this is just one of my favorite romances, period, in books. I won't tell you who it is until the spoiler thoughts, but it's enemies to lovers, it's dragons, it's very like Divergent meets like the Hunger Games meets Maze Runner, but with like dragons. and just so much badassery and so many good characters. So many good characters. Even the ones that like aren't main characters, so they're not like fully developed, you get enough of them to be severely attached to every single character. So I would definitely recommend this book if you can get your hands on it. 5 stars, especially if you're into new fantasy or you're newly into fantasy. This is great. I'm forcing Nathan to rush through the last Mistborn book so that he can read this because I have so many thoughts. Now I'm going to switch into spoilers. So if you haven't read it, you should stop here. If you have, let's digest this. First of all, Dane needs to die. I want Violet to kill him so badly. When I realized along with her what he'd been doing when he touched her face, I about lost my mind. I like set the book down and started crying. I feel like I was so with her with the Dane thing where I'm like, I want to love you so bad, but you have no faith. Like you don't seem to trust me or like me all that much. You just want to protect me. And Xander was doing, I'm saying Xander because that's what I think. Xaden? I'm just going to say Xaden. There's lots of things I don't know how to pronounce in here, okay? So, Dane is the worst, and I'm very upset about it. At the very beginning, when she was like, stay away from Xaden Ryerson, I wrote in the book like, oh, she's not going to stay away. I know where this is going. And I love when it's in fantasy books where it's the trope of like, touch her and I'll kill you. But it's actually, like, they actually do it. Like that TikTok sound where it's like, people in a modern romance where he's an author and she's a barista and he's saying like touch her and you die, and the sound is like, you are a regular normal civilian, act like it. But when he finds them in her room and like wraps them all up in the shadows, oh my gosh, when he's like, you're all dead, I was like, I literally like fanny flutters the entire time. I told Nathan I want to get like a post-it note or sticker to put in books. That's Debbie Ryan going like, because that's how I felt almost every time he opened his GD mouth. He's perfect. I'm in love with him. And at the end, when you figure out that Brennan's alive and he's been working with Xaden and Garrick and everybody, and you realize, I'm not going to cry. You realize that Xaden has known much more about Violet than she thought or we thought. Like, he might have, like, already been in love with her before he met her, just from hearing from Brennan about how amazing she is. And was shocked to see her, obviously. She was supposed to be in the scribe quadrant. But when he says, like, I wanted you, I've been yours longer than you know, I was just like, it was a he fell first this whole time, and I didn't know it because it's so good. It's so good. And when he's like, you're mine, I think I'll keep you. Oh my gosh. I can't, oh my gosh. It's so good. Let me see if I can find like, oh, let's talk about Cairn. Cairn. I love him. He's like a grumpy old man, and I love him. I was really worried about like the dragon thing because I've never read anything with dragons in it, other than like Harry Potter, and it's not like a main story plot or anything. So I was like, I don't like, where are they gonna go with this, you know? And when I learned they could talk in your head, I was like, I don't know. But the second Terrence started talking to her, I was in love with him. I adore him. He is so sweet. He is so perfect. He's so funny. When she's like falling around, he's like, you're making us look bad. Stop it. Are you kidding me? And when she gets off and she like slides down and hurts her bum, he's like, that's one way to do it. Oh my gosh. And the way that he like leans down for her to climb up every time, even though he knows it makes him look weak in front of all of the other dragons. Like, and the saddle, and being like, I heard it's the newest fashion, instead of being like embarrassed. Like, he's just such a confident character in himself. And the way that he chooses Violet over and over and over again, like, it's almost like a paternal love that she's lost. Like, somebody who, obviously Xaden has had faith in her this whole time, but he's kind of like trying to not, like, mask it, and like, you know, he's got his own stuff to deal with. But Taryn, like, openly and often chooses her. And it makes me so happy. I feel like it was a good addition to the story. I mean, I guess it wasn't really an addition. I don't read fantasy. To me, dragons were an addition to the plot, and it was beautiful. I loved that he protected her, but not in a way that Dane made her feel like weak. He was just like, we're in this together. You protect me. I protect you. Like, if he takes one step towards you, he's done. He's toast. It's over. I think he's absolutely amazing. And when she found out at the end about Xaden betraying the country and all that jazz, she's going to forgive him, right? Because, oh my gosh, when he said, you love me, and she says loved, I actually screamed. Don't do this to him. He loves you so much. I think she'll come around. I think she'll come around. She has to come around, or I will blue skidoo into this book and take Xaden from her on my life. When she found out about all of that stuff and the like vampire things, I don't even, remind me, Venom. Yeah. Oh yeah, I opened it to the you love me, loved, and then he says love, you've loved me. But when she finds out about that, and Taryn is talking to her, and he's like, I made a choice without you to protect you, and it's not a mistake I'll make again. It was just, I did not think he was going to react that way. Like, even with all of the faith in him and like the love that he's shown, I was kind of like, he's going to be like, suck it up, get over it. This is what had to be done. But the way he respects her so much that he's like, I will not make that mistake again, just like created such a mutual respect between them. And oh my gosh, this is another part I cried. This whole chapter 35 to 36 situation is uncalled for. Because it's when we realize, well, we already knew Dane kind of sucked, but we realized that he's been reading her thoughts every day and sold them out. And when Xaden went to take her, he just said, I'll miss you, Violet. Are you joking? Some lover. But when they start to get attacked and Xaden like turns to her and says, this isn't your fault, before like fighting, just, that was so sweet. And so like, he just thinks of her so often. When he left the violets by her bed after the first time they got together, I was like, this man has been smitten for so long. I didn't realize how long, but I was like, that's not a behavior of a man who just like gave in the night before, like to relieve some stress. Liam is amazing, and I love him, and I'm so upset. I got so attached to him. I honestly, at some points, I was like, you know what? If Xaden and her like fall apart, Liam's right there. And I would like it almost just as much, because Liam is an angel. The way he went with her to the party for the end of the rebellion or whatever it was called, before she went to find Xaden on the parapet. And he was like, Xaden would never ask me to do this. I'm here because I'm your friend and I'm here for you. Like, he's just, his death, I'm not going to get over for a long time. When I see like on TikTok stuff about Fourth Wing and Liam comes up, I get so upset. So upset. Like, I want him to come back. And I didn't realize how serious this whole like a rider without their dragon is dead thing. I didn't realize that they were that linked. One thing I will say is that the fact that Xaden and Violet can feel the lust when Scale, I don't know how to say her name, and Taryn are doing it, that was a loop. That was something that came out of left field. Technically, it does make sense. She can feel his hunger. She can feel his anger, frustration, happiness, like all of that. It makes sense, but it was strange. It's very strange, but... And then, like, do the dragons feel it? Because obviously Tare knew, because the next day when the guy was like, what made you feel the emotion to do lightning before? And he was like, should I go get the wing leader? I was like, okay, so he knows. Does he just know because she's thinking about it, or did he feel it as well? Also, I hope that she can get this lightning thing under control, because they're really just destroying property at this point. Like, they can't afford this forever. Again, assuming they get together, because otherwise I'll be very, very upset. I'm so happy Brennan's back. Something I love about this book is all the plot twists are so foreshadowed. Like, now that I know Brennan's back, it's so obvious. Like, when he's like, your mom killed my dad. And she's like, well, your dad killed my brother. And he said, hardly. When I was reading it, I was like, what a dick. Because he didn't die. I wonder if the guy who tried to save his life and died saving his life really did save his life. That's my guess. I also am trying to theorize, I'm going to run out of battery, trying to theorize ways that Liam's coming back. I saw somebody say what is her name? If the Andarna, if she can slow time, maybe she can reverse time, we can go get Liam back. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I love him. So, Brennan's back, never left. They are part of the rebellion now. It's bonkers to me, like, how much history is written by the victor in this book. I'm trying to, like, come up with predictions for next time, but all I can think is, like, okay, Xaden and Violet are going to get back together and they're going to fight. I am hoping Mir's a little bit in on it. A little bit? But, because I can't believe Brennan stayed silent for so long, especially when Mir was out there. And Mir's a good person. Like, I truly think that she would have joined them. I hate her mother. Her signet is storms, and Violet was almost killed by a storm the very first day. And when she says her mom's about to lose a second child to protect the secret, what a soulless... And I've seen a theory that I fully believe now, that her dad's death wasn't an accident or a heart problem. That the mom killed him because he discovered it. And maybe Brennan told him. Because after Brennan died, he was, like, more mysterious, and he was an enigma, and he was in the library all the time. This woman is the devil. I can't even believe the stuff that she's done to her family. Like, I knew it was bad. It's kind of like how, like, I knew Dane was bad, and then when you get to the end, you figure more stuff out, you're like, wow. You are actually, like, the poo on my shoe. I hope Rydok and Rhee are okay. Really, really badly, because I love them, and Sawyer. I hope they're all okay. I assume they are, because they were going to, like, actual war games where, like, people die, but they weren't sent there to die, you know? I hope they get in somehow. I don't know. I feel like Violet, like, that's a great thing about this, is, like, Violet knew more than us this whole time, and now that we've gotten to the end, we're both, us and Violet, are like, what the actual hell is happening here? What's going to happen next? Where are my people? Like, I just feel lost. I already pre-ordered the second book that's coming out in November as an early birthday gift to myself. So, this is an amazing book. Read it, and if you've read it, reach out to me so I have someone to talk to about it before Nathan reads it, because I have so many thoughts. See you in the next video.